Computer. Okay, so let us start the class. Good evening, everybody, and I'm going to start the class. So the goal of this course is to introduce you into the basics of web programming, web security. Heads up, we just want to be able to set up a very, very simple basic website, secure it. If we have anybody that have given us a website to set up, we can be able to do that. We can be able to host the website. Then also, if we have a website that is susceptible to a hack, we can also be able to secure such kind of website. Okay, now I'll just scan through what we were going to be doing for the next 4 days. Don't forget, we're going to be running through 4 days. Then we have an extended period of, please, once you come in, kindly just mute your mic so that we can all have a very smooth recording. So like I said, we're going to be going through 4 days training. They will now have an extended period of 30 days. So in the 30 days period, whatever you don't get, whatever you don't understand, you can ask questions. Any of the hands-on, any of the labs, any of the practicals that it's very kind of difficult for you, you could ask questions from the trainer, from your colleagues, and you fix it. The goal is to make sure that you have the prerequisite skill to be able to do any intermediate or advanced cybersecurity course. Okay, look at the modules that we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering web design fundamentals, right? So you need to understand what website design is and the different ways we can build websites. If I ask a question now, what is web design? Who can give me an answer? Just unmute yourself. What is web design or what is a website? Call it a website.
We can say web design is the process of creating websites.
Okay, so website design acts or ways in which you can create up a website. So what is a website?
We can say aspects including web page layout, content production, and graphic designs and all.
Good. So now you said web content layout, graphics, and the rest. So I will put up everything together as just content, right? I want to make sure that I reduce the theoretical part of the training. So I have so many types of slides, right? So I'm not going to be using slides in my training because I just have 4 days and an extended period of 30 days. So the training is going to be very, very straightforward and direct, right? I'm not going to be going through any slide. All the slides I have by tomorrow, let's say before midday, I will drop all the slides for you in the WhatsApp group. Hope that will be fine.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I don't need to start going through slides. I will just use some case studies, use some examples. If you have questions, you can also ask and I will answer you. So anytime you want to define, what's it called? You want to define a website. So a website is just simply put content, and content has different types, right? Content can be audio, right? Content can be audio, content can be video, content can be image, and content can be text, right? So if somebody says, please build a website for me, what the person is trying to say is, please help me have audio, help me have video, help me have text, help me have images properly laid out as web pages on a server or on a website. Are we together? So whatever way you put in these different types of content, it's fine. So what are the different types of images you can have if you have to set up a website? So you have things like pictures, things like graphic design flyers. Some brochures can come in form of images. Then of course, text, for instance, you're going to have things like corporate profile, things like, what's it called? Articles, write-ups, technical writings, and the rest. So they are all classified as text. And of course, video. If I record this video now and put up that video as part of the content of my website. I've actually done a type of content. And of course, audio, we could convert this recording now to an audio. It will classify as content. So just put it as the website is anything that contains all the different classes of content, which is audio, video, text, images. You can see a very very nice definition on maybe Wikipedia, but still going to sum up what I just explained now. So a set of related web pages located under a single domain name, right? So what is a domain name? A domain name is that URL that you can use to access content of a website. So for instance, if I have something like soutechventures.com, that is a domain name. If I have something like isosec.org, that is a website. Are you there? So
yes,
that domain name is what gives you access to the content of that particular website, right? So at times you can call it a URL, which is Universal Resource Locator. Okay, that's that about the basics of web design. Like I said, I don't want to use slides. I'm going to send you content that have all of these things I'm discussing, but in case you want to go through, review, have them in your backup, it makes sense for you. Okay, next thing, we know what a website is, we know what a URL is, we know what domain is. Then the next thing we're going to be asking ourselves is, what are the different types of websites? So I will put something in our chat here. Okay, so number one is what is a website? Number two is classes of content. Number three is types of websites, right? I'm writing on our chat, on our Zoom chat. So types of websites, all of the different types of websites that we can have. So we can have what we call a static website or a dynamic website. So what do you call a static website? What do you call a dynamic website? So I will say static versus dynamic. So simply put, a static website is that website that you don't have a database to it. It then means that if I build a website and there's no database, the website does not store information, right? It then means that that website is a static website. And what can you use to build a static website? You can use HTML. So static website, you can use HTML, you can use CSS, you can use JavaScript, right? Those are the front-end languages or websites that you can use to do a static website. A website that does not store information. For instance, if you go to any website and you can't register, you cannot sign in, you cannot log out, it then means that it does not store any information. That website is a static website, right? Then the next one is a dynamic website. So what do you call a dynamic website? Any website that stores information, that stores details in terms of with a database, you call that what? A dynamic website. And why did they use that word dynamic? It then means that it's dynamic, it changes, it adapts to the different type of users that access it. For instance, if you go to Jumia, or you go to Alibaba, or you go to AliExpress, or you go to DHgate, or you go to Best Buy, or you go to Amazon, or you go to eBay, those are e-commerce websites. You call them dynamic websites or database-driven websites. Why? Because they store your information. They don't just store the details of those things that they sell. People can actually register. And you can go back at another time. You can log in. You can see what you did at that particular time. It then means that it has a database. So I will write here on our chart by saying a database website. So stores information in a database, and a database is just simply something that contains, I'm just trying to be very, very simple and plain as possible, that contains a table with rows and table. How many of us use Excel sheet? So a database is something that looks like that. If you can see my screen, you'll see how many of us are seeing my screen? What are you seeing? You can unmute and okay, I think my XAMPP is off. How many of us are seeing my screen? What do you see?
Yes, we can. The PHP MyAdmin.
Okay, good. I need somebody else to answer.
PHP MyAdmin.
Okay, good. Okay, just a moment. You see, I'm having this error message because I have not started my database. So I'm going to tell you what all of that means. So that means that if you are developing your website on a local server, you have to have your database started before you can do anything. The same thing when we now start hosting our website online, you will see how to get a domain name, how to host your website online, how to move or whatever that you're working on offline, how to put it online. So just give me a moment. I will activate my database and you're going to see, I'm going to load this database. So all of the items you are seeing here, CRUD 1, DVW8, that's Down Variable Web Application, login system information schema, MySQL, performance schema, PHP class, PHP admin. All of these are all databases. But you see, under a database, you are going to see some tables. So please mute yourself, mute yourself, mute yourself. Mute yourself, please.
Mr. Victor, you can just mute everybody.
Yeah? Just a moment. Just a moment. I think I'm good. Okay, so if I tap on persons, for instance, you see, it's going to load this particular table. So I have a database, I have a table, and a table contains records, right? It contains all the records. For instance, I have ID, first name, last name, email, max number, date of birth. So this is a table. This is what you have like in Excel, right? So any website that houses a database is called a database-driven website. Okay, I will ask if you have a question, you could ask before I ride on. Any question before I ride on? Okay, we've talked about what a website is, the classes of website. Okay, somebody have a message. Okay, no question. What a website is, the classes of content, the types of websites, we say static and database driven. Then another thing we're going to be looking at is what are the different ways we can build the website? Different ways we can build the website. I need somebody to help me. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways. What are the different ways we can build a website? I'm waiting. You can unmute yourself and answer. Somebody said coding. Somebody else, please. HTML. Somebody
WordPress.
else. WordPress. Somebody else.
WordPress.
Yes, somebody else. I need an interactive class, please. Somebody said JavaScript. Somebody said HTML. You can type on the chat, or you just unmute yourself and you comment fast, please. I have about 10, 11, 12 participants. So where are my students? Somebody said PHP. Next, somebody else. Somebody said CSS. You guys are just mentioning all the programming languages. Oh yeah, somebody next. Somebody else. Unmute yourself and give me an answer. Chimezda, Chiroma Yahaya, Balasani, Sam David. I need answers. Don't stay in my class and keep mute, please.
We can use Python.
Python, okay. Somebody said Squarespace. Yes, I'm taking note of them. Okay, let me write down. So if I want to classify the different ways we could build our website, I will classify them, let's say, into between 4, 5, 6 categories. Somebody said Weebly, correct. Okay, number one, we will classify as building our website using free platforms. So I will say number one, free platforms. If you are taking notes, so you can write Wix. So number one is A is free platforms. So Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, Blogger, WordPress, etc. So these are the different ways we can build our website if we want to go free. Are we together? So another way we can build our website is if we use content management systems. So you call them CMS. So example is what? WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Magento, PHP, BB, and so many. So let us look at them little by little. Let's look at blogger.com. Let's look at Wix.com. That's for the free platforms. Let's just look at these two. It then means if I want to build my website using Blogger, it's very simple. It then means that I'm not going to be paying. I just need to sign up an account. Once I sign up an account, or rather, if I have a Gmail account, Blogger is owned by Google. Once I have a Gmail account, I go to blogger.com. I could just click here and create a new blog, right? I could create a new blog. Now, because I already have an account, so it's showing most of the blogs I have, some of them as far back as 2012. That's like, how many years now? I think it's a little bit, I think almost 10 years, about 8, 9 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's one way to build a website using Blogger. Another way you could build a website free, it's using Wix, right? So you could get started, create an account, and build a website using Wix, right? It's very easy, it's very straightforward, and there are many tutorials online you can use to do that. Now, that's all for the, what is it called? For the free ways you can build a website. So B, like you see in our chat, is content management system. So how do you build a website? You have a question?
Yes.
Okay, please ask.
Sorry, these weeks that you just mentioned.
Yes.
Is it possible to add content or of everything we want to do to the site?
With the Wix website.
Or is it limited to some things you can add?
Yes. So when I exhaust all the different ways we can build the website, and I'm not going to start telling you the advantages, the disadvantages, the limits, and the merits and demerits, right? So for now, let's just go through all the different ways we can build our website. Once we understand those basics, then we can now start we can now start differentiating them. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we talked about Blogger, we talked about Wix. So these are two ways that newbies can set up a nice website and whatever. Let me start talking about the merits and demerits. For Blogger, for instance, it then means that if you have a Blogger website, your website will look like something like this: soutechventures.blogspot.com, right? So it then means that this website is, you are hosting it on what we call a subdomain name. Don't worry, when you get your hosting and you start hosting your website, you will learn, you'll get to know more about that. It then means that the website is free. This part, this Soutech Ventures is free. Then this Blogspot is owned by Google. So yeah, they're just giving you a subdomain name. I have this Blogspot website as far back as okay, look at this, is 2010. We're in 2022, so this website is like 12 years old, right? So, and if you are using Wix, for instance, your website is going to be maxwell.wix.com. So that's some of the limits you have. So yeah, if you want to remove this entire Blogspot and have it to be .com, you're now going to be paying money, right? So, and normally it's a way for somebody to start up, but you can progress and now have a full-fledged website where you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a domain name. And I normally tell students that if you, during the course of this, your trading now for your project, if you just spend between 6,000, 7,000 or 10,000 and get a 1 gig hosting, it lasts for 1 year. You can use that for the rest of between now, February till February 2023, and learn most of the things you need to learn in terms of web design, basic programming, basic cybersecurity stuff, and the rest. So why not just get it if domain name that you have full control, full access to, than getting something that you have limited access to. I'm going to be talking about more of the limits later on. So let me just move on. Okay, the other way we can build our website, if you check our chart, is using content management system. So content management system is a far, far better way to build websites. Remember when we started the training, I talked about websites being content, right? Website is content. So if website is content, we now have something that can help us to do management. So you call it content management system. And if you say top 10, or let me say top 5 CMS or website content management systems, you see all of the things I've mentioned here, you are going to see them: Joomla, Drupal, Magento, PHP, So you see WordPress is here, Joomla is here. They are classifying Squarespace as a content management system. That is still right. Then you have Monday, you have Hotspot. There are some new players. We call them new because they are just like 10, 15 years ago, they were just like nowhere. So the major ones are the guys I have listed on the group chat, which is Joomla, WordPress, Drupal, Magento, and there are some other top ones. All these other ones are majorly, just newcomers in the industry. Like Monday is just like a team project management software. HubSpot is a marketing company. Acquia, Squarespace came up later on. I don't even know of SiteScore, right? So if you go to, let's say, WordPress.com, right? And let's say Joomla.com. So these are two very, and I think Drupal, right? So these are, if you want to classify them, they are like the top 3 sophisticated content management systems that you can use to build your website. And I can tell you that if you check thousands and millions of websites, they are based on this content management system because they are robust. You can secure them, you can patch them, you can scale them, you can do a whole lot with them because they can help you to manage typically any kind of content. Now, the thing about Drupal is that Drupal, I think I used Drupal sometime in 2008, 9, 10. After some years, I didn't use Drupal all that because it's kind of a complex content management system. People in the US use it a lot. Then I think 210, 212, 210, 212, 213, I used Drupal a bit. Then it was just Drupal 1.5. Then if you notice, you will see WordPress.com. There's WordPress.com, and that is what is used for that free WordPress site. And then there is WordPress.org. So take note, there is WordPress.com and there's WordPress.org. So WordPress.com is the one you can start and use free, right? Is the one you can start and use completely free, right? You don't need to pay any money, right? But there are limits. See the limits? Imagine you having a website, you can't have a live chat. You can't have a live chat. Let me show you something, southernventures.com. Let me say Glow World. Let me check Glow website. Let me check GT Bank website. Let me check most websites, ministry websites, agency websites, international websites. Do you want to have a website that have a chat system, right? You want to have a website that have a lot of features. So if you are using this free WordPress, that is this one, this guy here, personal, even though it's free, there's little you can do, right? You cannot upload videos, you cannot implement Google Analytics, you cannot install plugins. I'll tell you what a plugin is later on. So there are so many things you cannot do. Like somebody that was asking that question. Then if you pay $8 per month, which is still very expensive, right? You can do all of this stuff, but imagine you cannot do search engine optimization. You don't even have a control panel. You can't tweak. You can't do most security case studies you want to be able to implement on your website. You can't do that. Upon that, you are paying $8 per month. If you times 8 by 12, you have almost $100, if not more. So the question is that if you use WordPress.org, which we call a self-hosted WordPress, you're able to do anything and everything you want to do, right? That's the difference. So if you get a domain name and hosting account, what you're going to be installing is this particular WordPress, not this one. So this one is if you just come here and create an account. Once you create an account, your website will now become blah, blah, blah.wordpress.com right there. So that's the difference between this free WordPress and the paid WordPress. Another CMS is Joomla, very powerful.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ask, please.
Yes. Can you do me a favor?
Yes, right on.
You understand? I'm in the office, so my attention was being called by one of my boss. You understand me? So I know when you are explaining about the WordPress, please, can you please come back again, please?
Okay, now we're going to have the meeting is being recorded. So if you have a question that will help me answer you very swiftly, I will do that. But if you're going to take us back, I will just say you listen to the recording. So we are already recording. So at the end of the class, you can have the recording and go back if you miss anything. But if anybody that asks a question that won't take me so much to go back, I will answer swiftly and I'm going to write on. Anybody have any other question? Anybody have any other question, please? Yahaya, Galaxy, A2 Core, Balasani, Mr. Osman, Nicholas, Sam David. We have 2 David here. Hope we are going to kill
No
Goliath.
question for now, sir.
Hope we are going to kill Goliath. 2 Davids. Nicholas.
No question, sir.
This is Nicholas. No question, sir. For now.
Okay, for now. I like that one for now. Galaxy A2 call.
No question for now.
Okay, good. Awesome. So let us try on.
Give no question for now.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So you have Joomla. Joomla is another very nice. I remember sometime that's quite a long time. You see, in the evolution of CMSs, Joomla used to be very popular and very powerful, right? But they didn't catch up very well, just like we had Nokia, right? And Google came up, had Android, and over many hardware companies that are using Android, and that was it. Microsoft and Nokia just fell off. That's the same thing that happened to Joomla. Joomla used to be the very best. Most international websites, ministry websites, agency websites were all built by Joomla. I can remember back then, 2000 and let's say 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If you don't know how to build a website using Joomla, you have not started, right? Joomla used to be the in thing, but they didn't evolve very, very fast. So it's delayed. Okay, look at now. Everybody has seen my screen. So I could just create victorchidi.joomla.com. I could launch now and I can have my website up and running. Are we together? So I could use a stable version of this particular one. I could use this and I just continue. I'll put in my name, put in my details. At the end of the day, I'm going to have victorchidi.joomla.com or .org. That's the difference between a free website and a paid website. Okay, and Joomla as a CMS, you can also install it in your cPanel. We're going to do that. I'm just trying to lay some foundation. Then, of course, WordPress, which is like the most powerful CMS you have in the whole wide world. You can use it to build websites, blogs, apps, e-commerce websites, right? Like this website is on WordPress. See the website as nice as it is. Most ministry websites, agency websites, they are all built using WordPress. The ISOSEC website I showed you now is built on WordPress. Most newspapers, right? Newspapers around the world, bank websites, the front end of the way our websites are built using WordPress. Most banks, most schools, right? Most schools build the front end of their websites using WordPress. So WordPress is a very powerful tool. So it's one tool among all of these things I mentioned that you want to learn. So number 3, that is C. You could use programming languages. So PHP, Perl, Python, R, Java, JavaScript. etc. Right? So if you want to build a website, you can code your website in what was it called? You can code your website in any of these programming languages, either in PHP, in Perl, in Python, in R, in Java, in JavaScript, in whatever type of languages, whatever type of language. I was building something locally today with my PHP students, and this is one thing we are building. This is a PHP website. You could add employees, you could add items. Most e-commerce websites, they have their foundation in PHP. Like even the WordPress you're talking about, it has its foundation in PHP. The Joomla website has its foundation in PHP. The only difference when you're using a CMS is that you're not actually interacting with that language. You are just using like a dashboard. So it's very, very much easier to work on. Okay. Another way you could develop a website is using frameworks. So the thing is that each of these programming languages have their frameworks. So what do you call a framework? So a framework is what looks like predefined functions to help you achieve your development very, very swiftly. For instance, PHP has several frameworks. For instance, Laravel. For instance, Slim, Code Igniter, and several others. So you cannot just start learning a framework without understanding the language. So you first learn how to build using what's it called, a language before I start talking about using the framework of the language. A language like Python has different frameworks like Django, like Flask, right? These are frameworks for the Python language. JavaScript, for instance, which is a front-end language, has different frameworks like React, like Angular, like native scripts, and the rest. So if you want to build a website, another way you could build a website is using programming language frameworks. Okay, I will stop here so that I can write on the class. So if you have any questions, you could ask before we get started. Questions, please. Unmute yourself and you can ask your questions.
Hello, thank you very much, sir. This is Nicola. Sorry, my question is, this WordPress.com, which is going to carry whatever the domain name is, .wordpress.com, and the WordPress.org, which will eventually carry the full domain name.
Yes, yes.
Like .com. It won't include any WordPress. Now, my question is, this WordPress.com, if you want to register it, you're going to be paying for it.
Yes.
This WordPress.org, if you want to register, you're going to be paying for it. So which one is actually advisable for a beginner to use?
Okay, now, if I want to answer your question, the same time and effort a beginner will use to do this free WordPress, right? This WordPress.com.
Yeah.
That same time, that beginner should just get a domain name and hosting account and start playing around with the real stuff. You don't even have any business using the .com. And if you're actually interested in a career in tech, 10,000 naira should not be a big deal for you to get a domain name hosting account, which is for 1 whole year, right? And you play around and you do all the things you need to learn, build an e-commerce website there, put a blog there, put a corporate website there, put a whatever you want to put there, learn all the things you need to learn, break things, repair things, ask questions, fix things, and you be on the same band as people that are actually doing it big, right? Then, because if you start from this free WordPress, someday you will still leave it. So why not just leave it in the first place and start from the real guy?
Okay.
So did I answer you?
Yes, definitely, sir.
So don't say beginner. You don't want to. Yes, you are a beginner, but you don't want to learn and act and do stuff like a beginner. You want to bootstrap. You want to be very swift. You want to be very sharp, so that you can achieve all the things you need to achieve. Because if you start from the free stuff, for instance, imagine you cannot install a chart. You cannot have a chart on your website. Something like this now. Look at this chart. Welcome to. You have a GT Bank website. You cannot have it. Does my internet have an issue? Things like having your cPanel, things like creating your email. If your name is Nicholas, for instance, you have nicholasconsult.com or nicholasventures.com or nicolasinnovation.com. What that happens is that If you now want to create info@nicholasconsult.com, you cannot do that when you're on these free platforms. That's the disadvantage. But when you have your own hosting account, are you there? You can create as many emails as possible. You can create info@nicholasinnovation.com, sales@nicholasinnovation.com, blah, 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 right? If you have yourself, your wife, your staff, your friend, your fellow, whatever, you could create emails for them. Then if you print your complimentary card or on your LinkedIn or on your handles, you are seen as someone that is serious. But if you still carry nicholasconsult.wordpress.com or nicholasconsult.blogspot.com, to be candid, you're not going to be seen as somebody serious. I'm going through most of these things so that you can understand the different ways that somebody can create a website. There are over 20, 30. People can build websites different ways. But for a beginner, you can simply get the domain hosting account, install WordPress into it, and build a very classic website. Part of the framework I missed out is Bootstrap, right?
Yes, sir.
You could use Bootstrap and develop a very simple, straightforward, classic website, right? That is well presentable. And when you get your domain name and hosting, you can upload whatever that you have created, whatever you have edited into your hosting account. And everybody's going to see it as a very nice website. Okay, let me give you an example of a Bootstrap website. I'm going to drop it on the chat. At the end of this training, everybody here should be able to build something like this. Even if not immediately after, at least within your 30 days with mentorship, you should be able to set up something as clean and neat as this. It's going to load up. So this is a small website we have at Southtech, Campus Hub. So you just have, just a moment, let it load. Right, Campus Hub, the best place for your personal development. You see this stuff, encounter, vision, mission, our services, right? Everybody here, within 30 days, you should be able to set up something as simple as this. You have several templates that you can use. You could tweak with your basic HTML skills. You can do something that at least somebody says, can you design a website? You can show the person 2, 3, 4, 5 websites that you have built, either using WordPress, eCommerce, or using Bootstrap, HTML, CSS, right? So I'm going to drop this link for you guys. You can check it out whenever you have time. Just a moment. Okay. Any more questions before I write on?
Yes, please.
Please ask.
My name is Uchegi.
Okay, fine.
My network was disrupted. I didn't get how you got to PHP my admin.
Wow. Okay. The class is recorded and it's not going to be more than 100 MB. So at the end of the class, you can go through it and just watch that part. If you still have questions, you can ask. For PHP my admin, you should have XAMPP installed, right? Once you have XAMPP installed, I'll walk you through how to do that. I will drop most of the softwares you're going to use for the training. So you install it today. So from tomorrow, we'll start using them, right? So once you install XAMPP, XAMPP is, let me drop that in the chat, XAMPP, right?
Excuse me.
LAMP.
I have a question.
Hold on, LAMP, WAMP.
Hold on, LAMP, WAMP.
Okay, I think let me share all of my screen so that once I think that would be better. Okay, everybody, what are you seeing now?
PHP my admin.
Are you seeing the participants Zoom icon? The dialog box. Hello.
Yes.
Okay, good, fine.
Yes, you can see.
Okay, so I want you to be seeing my entire screen so that in case I move out of where the web browser, you can still see what I'm doing. So how many of us can see my PHP, my XAMPP server?
Yes, I can see.
Good, good. So once you install XAMPP, you start the both servers, that is the Apache and MySQL. I'll explain that. Once you start that, you can go to localhost / I will tell you how to load up most of these things, right? Once that your server is started, then you could create a database, you could have tables, then you can have those records, they're going to show up. So this is a way for you to develop your stuff locally. So I will drop those softwares for you. We install it before tomorrow's class.
Mr. Victor.
Yes.
So what you are trying to say here is that is what they call it is an offline methodology of hosting your website.
Yes. So if you are to do stuff locally, so you can use XAMPP. So I'm going to explain. So you have XAMPP, LAMP, WAMP, and MAMP. So when you use XAMPP as a software, what you're actually using is, you are saying that you're on a cross-platform operating system. You have Apache, you have MySQL, you have PHP, you have Perl. When you run LAMP as a software, you say you're on a Linux operating system, you have Apache, you have MySQL, you have PHP. When you run WAMP, you are running Windows operating system, you have Apache as your server, you have MySQL as your database, you have PHP as your language. When you run MAMP, you are saying you are using a Macintosh, you are running Apache, you have MySQL as your database, you are running PHP, right? So everybody here, if you have a Windows computer, it then means you can install XAMPP or WAMP, Windows or any platform.
But sir, hello sir.
Ask.
If I may ask, under what they call my WordPress.
Yes.
Is it compulsory you make your host and your domain name from WordPress before using WordPress?
No. That's why I said, instead of you buying domain name and whatever from WordPress.com, you just buy a domain name and hosting account. It comes with WordPress free, right? You install the WordPress. We're all going to do that.
That is from other vendors, isn't it?
No, from your hosting company. Once you buy that hosting, it ships with WordPress. We're all going to do that. So don't try to rack your brain around it. We all do that practically, right? So once you buy the domain, I didn't get that.
What of Laragon, sir?
Same thing.
Reason why I'm asking, I stumbled on what they call it on a company that sets domain name and hosting, which Q servers.
Okay.
Q servers.
Okay.
So on it, if I should buy my domain name and my what they call it hosting on Q servers, can't I have WordPress on it?
That's what I'm saying now. You can. It comes with it. It comes with it. Same thing. Southtech hosting, we've been doing hosting for the past 10 years, right? So if you buy a domain name and hosting account, like for most of our students, it comes together with it. You just install your, what's it called? You install your WordPress within it and you build, right?
Okay.
Can I write down? Anybody have any other question?
Move on, sir.
Question, please. How many ladies do I have in the room, by the way?
I'm a lady.
Aha. I need them. Which other lady? one of the SDGs is gender equality, be inequality.
Exactly.
I don't know which of them, whether it's equality or inequality.
Gender equality, sir.
So which other lady do I have in the room, please? It's the season of love, so we can share love by at least making sure that you are not in the hiding.
You're not being sidelined.
Yes. Any lady in the room again? I'm waiting. Any other lady in the room?
I mentioned my name now.
No, don't mention your name, please. Okay, let us ride on. So we said XAMPP. You can install XAMPP if you are with whichever operating system you are using, right? If you are running Linux, you should install LAMP or this. If you are running Windows, you should install WAMP or this. If you are on a MacBook, you install this or this. So if you are running Linux, you cannot be saying you want to install WAMP. It's LAMP or cross-platform. That is any platform. So every one of us here, a very easy one is for you to just install XAMPP, right? You just go to XAMPP download. Everybody, before tomorrow, make sure that you have XAMPP installed. I'm going to drop this link on the WhatsApp group right now. Same thing with VS Code. VS Code, that's what we're going to be using to code. So make sure you download the correct thing, what you need to download. Web programming. Some students want to sign up and make us add them at the very last moment. It's kind of difficult to do when you're training and you have to add students to the platform. Okay, I've added that. Then for VS Code, I'm going to also add the link. So everybody would have okay. So everybody, before tomorrow's class, please get to this link and look at your operating system. So if you are running, what's it called? If you are running Windows, right? I prefer you just download this, right? And your system should be 64-bit. XAMPP don't have an older 32-bit system again, and most systems these days are all 32-bit. So just download. I'll prefer you download this very first one, the PHP version 7.4, or the second one 8.0. You can leave out this 8.2. I think it's the most recent, so that we might not need to start fixing bugs. So just put the first one or the second one. Click on this button. It's going to download it. Install it. Once you install it, and you start the software, you have something like this. Once you open it up, you start your Apache, which is your server, you start your MySQL, which is your database, you cannot have access to localhost. So once you have localhost, you have this, and I'm going to tell you from tomorrow how you can now start putting up your files, developing your applications, and the rest. For the Visual Studio Code, which is going to be the environment we are going to be doing our coding. That's where we're going to be editing our HTML, our basic CMS, our Bootstrap website. I advise that you come to this page. If you're running Windows, fortunately, they have either 64-bit or 32-bit, whichever that's fine by you. If you're running a Linux, Ubuntu system, if you're running Mac, you install accordingly. Once you have that, you should be very ready for the class from tomorrow. So those are the two primary softwares we're going to be using. And of course, you should have a browser. Everybody already have a browser. I think that will be all for the softwares that we're going to be needing. Does anybody have a question before I write on?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please ask. Yes, ask.
I want to apologize for I'm battling with network problem. That's why I'm not fully participating.
No problem.
Based on what I don't know, is it maybe because I I do understand that this web development has like 3 categories: the front end development, back end development, and full stack, right?
Yes, front, back, full stack. Right, right on.
Yes, and then the front end and this visual code is one they usually use, and the framework there is HTML and CSS.
You are mixing it up, kind of. But just write on. Just write on. I'll do the corrections later on.
Okay, so now this is a WordPress that you're talking about.
Yes.
I don't know which category does it fall under.
Okay, good, excellent. Very nice, intelligent question. I will rephrase his question and I'm going to kind of answer so that it benefits everybody. Okay, now, in terms of roles, when people learn web development, you categorize them in roles. So you can say, I'm a front-end designer or developer. You can say, I'm a back-end designer or developer. You can also say, I'm a full-stack designer or developer. When you say you're a front-end developer, what does it mean? I'm going to drop that on the chart. So it then means front-end designer or developer, whichever. It then means that you use HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Simple. Right? So if you use HTML to design your website, if you use CSS, cascading style sheets, HTML is a hypertext markup language, or JavaScript, or any of its framework, and any of its framework, it then means that you are doing what? You're a front-end designer or developer. Anytime you use back-end developer, anytime you use programming languages, plus databases. So programming languages like what? Right, like Python, PHP, Perl, Java, JavaScript, etc. And databases like MongoDB, Oracle, MySQL, NoSQL, Postgre, okay, so when you use this as your language, this as your database to build your website, it then means that you're a backend developer. So when you say full stack, it then means you do what? Both. Mr. Chiroma, are you clear? Is this still in the chart?
Yes. Yes. So
okay, good. So back to your question now. So WordPress, which you classified as a CMS, it's based on PHP MySQL. So at the point somebody is doing WordPress as a beginner level, right? You can call that person a front-end designer. By the time the person is doing it and actually tweaking the core of that CMS. So at an advanced level, the person can be called a what? A back-end developer. There are some projects that you're going to do, for instance, and you're going to be developing templates. And those templates that you are developing, they are going to be based on PHP. They're going to be based on the language that the framework is based on of. So you cannot do that if you're not a programmer. If you're going to be creating templates, themes, plugins for WordPress, which is based on PHP MySQL, you cannot do that if you don't understand the programming language properly. So at that level, you can still consider yourself as a back-end developer. I don't know if my answer is clear enough.
Please, I have a question.
Mr. Chiroma.
Yes, it's clear very much.
Okay, fine. Okay, next person, please.
Yes, my name is TB Bamidele.
Okay.
I understand the explanation, what it means to be front-end developer, back-end developer,
Yeah.
and a full stack.
Yeah.
For the purpose of easy understanding, a terminology doesn't just originate from moon. There must be reason. Why is it called front end, back end? You understand?
Okay.
I don't know which.
Okay, fine. Let me answer you. Okay, good. So the question is that why is it called front? Then why is this one called back? Okay. Now, when you interact with a website, for instance, let's say you go to cnn.com. How many of us love CNN? Or we prefer Fox? So some people here will love Fox, and the others will love CNN. Depending on which divide you are in, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Okay, that's by the way. So you see this website as it is. All of the things you are seeing on this front, you see the styling, the images, the text, some are bold, some are italics, some are underlined, some are colored, some are like this advert that just came up now, like a flash, sliding, blah, blah, blah. All of the things I'm seeing at my front end here, the way I can achieve them is by using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? Look at it here, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It then means that if I can do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I can build this very basic styling, all of this stuff, as simple as it is. I can do that because this is served at my browser, or this particular website I told you about, which is a Bootstrap website. This is just plain HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Nothing is coming from the database, so to say. So it's all in my browser, right? I could interact on my browser. If I right click and do a moment, if I right click and do a page source, I'm going to see everything, all HTML, CSS file. Let me zoom out. CSS files, right? HTML stuff. We're going to learn some of these things, right? So there's nothing that is coming from a database, so to say. Now, the next one is what? Database. So why is it called backend? So immediately you start building a website and there's going to be a database that is going to store information, right? And the information that is going to be served to you will be dependent on this, like kitchen. This is like my kitchen. So in a family, we call the what's it called? We call the kitchen the engine room. We call the kitchen the database. In your car, that your engine, your what's it called? Your inside your bonnet, that is your engine room. That's like your back end. If something goes bad there, everything in the front, it's useless. In your car, the glass, the color, the tires, all of those things are just your front end, right? So, but if the engine is bad, if something is wrong with the database, it then means that the front is as good as nothing. So people can decide to build websites either using front-end technologies or using back-end technology. So once they use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, we describe them as front-end technologies because they are just based on my browser, right? I don't need to have a database to develop such kind of website. Whereas if I say I'm a back-end developer, it then means I must be able to thoroughly use a database. I must be able to store that information there and call out that information. For instance, for this campus website that you're seeing here, all of the text here, everything you have there was manually written, right? Nothing of this content is coming from the database. But you're going to go to some website like your WordPress website or some, or like this particular one, this one you have here. right? For instance, I can add a new employee. This is a mini application. This is the records. I think it's this one. This is the table that houses the record. So this is what you call a database. The database name is PHP MySQL app. So this is the record here. If I go to the application and say add a new employee, my name is Bamidele and I am from the moon. And my salary is $1 billion. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I submit, I know you're happy. If I submit, I'm going to have my records here. And if I refresh this database, I'm going to see that record. Are you there? Something actually made this conversion, right? I'll explain later on when we start talking about databases. So you see the record here. If I delete this particular first item, right? And I refresh my front end. So this is my front end. I'm not going to see that data here because whatever is in front end, this was built using Bootstrap, is thoroughly dependent on what is coming from the database. I hope that clears up your question.
Yes, beautiful.
Okay. Any more question? We're going to be running up like in 10-15 minutes. Today is more or less like an introduction to everybody to get up your system ready for tomorrow's class. Then I'll give you class. Questions, please. Mr. Agent X, Alex, Anna, Balasani, Brilliance, Mojumi, Issa Osman, Nicholas, I need your questions before we write them.
Hello. So I'm just joining now because of engagement. And of course, I missed almost everything about the class.
So you're going to get
watch the recording, and if I have any questions, maybe I'll ask you tomorrow.
Okay. Any other question, please?
Yeah, my name is Brilliant Mujumia. For now,
I'm waiting. I didn't hear him properly. Another person have a question?
Sorry, aside the Visual Studio Code, what other application do we need to download?
Okay, just for now, those things will suffice. I want to take everything little by little.
Please, what application? Sorry, I'm just coming.
Okay, somebody's asking a question.
Yes, it is me, Nicholas. I said aside Visual Studio Code, what other application do we need to download?
So that's why I said that I want to take everything little by little. The Visual Studio Code, the XAMPP, both of them will suffice for now.
Okay, sir.
Any other question? Okay, so let's move to the next thing. Let me go to, okay, so we've completed module 1. Module 1 says web design and programming fundamentals and frameworks. So we'll be able to complete module 1 by understanding what web design is, the different kind of languages, the different type of frameworks, and the different ways we can build our website. So the next thing we're going to be doing is how can we start learning Bootstrap as a framework, right? How can we start building our website very question?
Yeah, before you move on, sir.
Yes.
Are you giving us this, the curriculum?
You have the curriculum already. You have the curriculum already. Okay, just a moment. Let me drop it in the chat. I'm still open to questions. If you have them, you could just drop them, please. Okay, I think it's sent. If you have seen it, you can confirm. It's same document that you were given in the general WhatsApp group. So, okay. What's saying the document? Sir. Yes, ask your question.
Yeah, as a beginner on the website design, what are the things that can make it very easy for a beginner to train himself on it, sir?
What might work for you might not work for somebody else. Some, it might be reading text. Some, it might be video recording. Some, it might be hands-on project. Some, it might be one-on-one. Some, it might be in a group. Some, it depends. So it depends on what works best for you. But what works best for everybody is working on projects. And over 15 years teaching people to design websites, one of the best way you could learn website design is actually doing website design. So that's why I intentionally didn't want to use any slide. I intentionally don't want to do any textbook. I intentionally don't want to do any of that because you can always do all the Googling and reading. So, but I'm just going to provide you with guidelines, case studies. We're going to do some hands-on. We're going to do some assignments. End of the day, we should have at least 2-3 websites, and some of our labs will be how do we make sure that we secure them. Is that fine?
Yeah, I'm okay with that, sir.
Okay, fine. So we've exhausted, like I said, what you have in your content is all this. Just an introduction. Then the curriculum. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Then the number 2 now in our module is Bootstrap. So the question is, what's Bootstrap? So Bootstrap is a, okay, this is it here already open. Okay, no. So Bootstrap is a HTML, CSS, JavaScript framework. So if you want to build a website within 1 hour, Bootstrap is the way you can do that, right? Especially if the website is a very straightforward website, like a portfolio website. Okay, I think one of my students showed me his website today. Let me see if I can open it. mectalk.com. When I saw it today, I was very happy. Okay, let me show you. So he did design. He's actually running development course now with some other students. So how many of us love this website? He's a young boy even. He's not, I doubt he's up to 20 or 19. How many of us have seen the website?
Yes, you can see, sir.
Okay, so this is very simple.
I can see it.
Yeah, classic, basic website. And everybody, I know, because you should be able to do this. So what was used to build this HTML, CSS, JavaScript framework? Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is what he used to build this website. And just like I always tell all my students, don't tell me you can build a website if you cannot send me your link. And your link has about 2, 3, 4 other links. So this is his website. This is his portfolio website. You could click on it. You could go to the blog website. You could go to the corporate website. You could go to e-commerce website. You could go to, I think, the multi-vendor website. I don't know if you get me. So you cannot say you can build a website if you don't have something completed like this. So it shows that you know what you're doing. At least you've passed through the stress. And not that it's going to be very easy for you. Like somebody was asking, what is going to make it easy? There's nothing easy. So, but you have to be passionate. You have to ask questions. If you have challenges, you send a screenshot on the group, the mentorship group, and ask questions. Then we can help you fix your question. Even your colleagues can help you fix that question. And because the problems you are going to be having is not the problem somebody else is going to be having. So you could have a million different types of issues. So everybody might have different issues. 2-3 persons might have related issues. So, but the thing is, it's in fixing those issues that's what makes you a better designer, a better developer. Okay, so I think this for another student, this is like a portfolio website, right? So everybody here can build his or her portfolio website, his or her e-commerce website at the end of the class. And you can brag and say, okay, I have a basic website. And as you build up your skill, you can now push your limits and do something far, far better. So this is Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is what we can use to develop websites very, very fast. So I'll just introduce Bootstrap to you today. Then make sure that you have downloaded the things I told you to download. Once we come in tomorrow, we will start HTML, basic CSS, and Bootstrap. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. And we're going to actually build 1 or 2 websites tomorrow. Is that too fast?
Sir. What time are we starting tomorrow?
Same time.
Okay. Hello, sir. Sorry, sir.
Yes, ask.
Please, this website says you should download. Please, can you record the name of the website for me, sir?
I've dropped them on WhatsApp.
Okay, I will check on that, sir. Thank you.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, Bootstrap is
Hello, sir. Please,
yes.
sir, can I ask a question?
Please ask.
Sorry, the Bootstrap, I tried to download it now and I can see that it is a folder.
Yes, it's a
Opening
zip file.
the folder, I see that there's a lot of, yes, I can see that there's a lot of things.
Yes.
So I really don't know. Okay.
I'm going to explain. So there are 2 ways you can develop your websites using Bootstrap. You can actually download it like the other student just did, or you could use it directly online. So there's something we call starter template. See this guy here? We can use this directly. So with this, we don't need to download anything. So if you're going to be building offline, it's good you download. But if you have internet connection, 3, 4, 5 weeks throughout this 1 month will be sufficient for your website design class. So if you have internet, you could just copy this and you can build with it. Are we all good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me introduce the Bootstrap.
Hello, sir. Now, before you go, you say if we have internet, we can do what?
If we have internet, you can use the starter template, right? We'll do all of that from tomorrow. I'm just trying to lay some foundation, do some introduction, get you familiarized with all of the things we're going to be doing, so that when we start doing them, it's not going to be the second time you're hearing that.
Okay.
Good. So if you're building websites, so there are different sections for your Bootstrap site. I'm just going to talk about the most important aspects. I will go to content, form, components. Let me just pick carousel, card, button, and maybe modal. Let me talk about this for. This is an introductory class. From tomorrow, we will code these things ourselves. We'll see how it's going to be on the front end, and we will make tweaks to them. Let me start with carousel. Now, if you are building a website and you want to make what we call a slider, right? You can do your slider like this. You can do your slider like this. You can do your slider like this. So what is going to be changing you as a designer, what you're just going to be changing is the image that is going to stay here. Are we together? So the hard work of coding this box, styling it, that is taken off you. So Bootstrap does all of that. That's why it's a framework. It's a framework because it has predefined functions. It has predefined codes so that to make your development, your design very, very much easier. Look at another one here. So you see this one, an image, a text, and a description. It can be the first slide is welcome to website design class. ISOSEX, Saltech training, welcome, and you're going to have a fun time. The next slide is what? Another image, right? So if you intend not to have any text on it, so this will suffice. So this is the code you're going to be using to work. Are we together? So all you're going to be doing is just changing your image source, the 3 images, and you're going to be fine. If you need more images, you're going to change them. All of this gibberish, all of these guys, they might look daunting, but with time, everyone we're going to be doing that, and it's going to be very, very, very simple. Okay, so that's carousel slide. So you see, that's how Bootstrap makes it easy for you to integrate this kind of stuff within your website. Cards. If you need to build cards, for instance, are you seeing this place? So I can have an image here. I could have a bold text. I could have some description here. I could have a link to go to somewhere else. It then means that I can have this thing 4 or 5 within my website. So somebody comes to my website, I say our services. I put this guy 1, 2, 3, 4. I could list my services. I could have an image here. So I have this pre-done for me. I only pick up, tweak, and use. Okay. Another one is buttons. At times you see some nice buttons on some websites. They were not done from scratch most of the times. And nobody should fool you by saying, I built this website from scratch. I built this website from scratch. There's actually nothing from scratch, actually. You can tweak, you can harmonize, you can update, you can adapt. In your ingenuity, whatever you do has already been done. So there is actually nothing new, like they say, under heaven, right? It's just that you have some things and you are doing yours in a much, much better, sweeter, in a much slick way, but there is nothing like you just did it all fresh. If you check this CRUD I have here, are you seeing this button? This button is Bootstrap, this guy here. Are we together? So all of this, how the, what's it called? You see how the surrounding is, right? The curves. It was not done from scratch. What is going to style this website and make it like this is already there in the style sheet. Remember someone said he downloaded Bootstrap and he started seeing several files and this and that. Yes, all of those styles have already been done. Yours is to pick what you need here, tweak it, adapt it, and you have a beautiful website, right? So we're going to be doing that from tomorrow. I'm just trying to lay some foundation and do some introduction. Okay, that's carousel, and this one is modal. Imagine you go to a website, right? And you click on something and something pops up. That stuff that pops up is called a modal. If I tap this guy, are you seeing something like this? Hello, who is there? Somebody there?
Yes, we are here.
Yes, we are here. Yeah.
Okay, good. So
I'm here.
Good, awesome. So you see, that thing was not completely developed by somebody. The Bootstrap framework, unlike when we were developing websites, let's say 10, 15, 20 years ago, you have to do everything from scratch. Let's even check Bootstrap beginning. Or let's say Bootstrap a year of startup. Okay, or let's just say Bootstrap. And actually, it is called Twitter Bootstrap. How many of us know that it's Twitter that owns Bootstrap?
I'm hearing for the first time.
Okay, okay. So let's just say Twitter Bootstrap. So Bootstrap to Bootstrap, they call it Twitter Bootstrap because the framework is owned by Bootstrap, just like Angular is owned by Google. Okay, let us see. Okay, it started 10 years ago. How many of us can see this? I'm just trying to zoom so that we see it properly. Okay, look at it here. 10 years ago. So the initial release is what? August 19, 2011. Right? So it is written in HTML, CSS, less, Sass. This less and Sass are all types of CSS. Then, of course, JavaScript. It then means that guys that developed website before 2011 didn't have the luxury of Bootstrap. So most things have to be done from tweaking codes in a very, and you imagine you come to a website, this part of the website is looking different from another part of the website. Are we together? So these are some of the advantages of Bootstrap. So if I want to, a part of my website, I want somebody to see, click a button and he's greeted with a message. All I need to do is see this launch modal button. I will edit this part of it. Bamdele raised his hand. A moment. I will edit this part. Of course, it will change here. It can be click here to start application. So if I change this, what I'm going to now see here is going to be click here to start application. And of course, what is now the content? If I tap on it, the content is not going to be what I have here. Wahoo, woohoo. You're reading this text in a modal, and I have a title. So all of the content here, all I have to do is just replace what is here. This is the modal title. This is the body. Then this is save changes. I just need to put all I need to put inside of here, and I'll be fine. I would have done that. Now, before you start doing Bootstrap, you want to understand basic HTML. So our tomorrow's class is going to be two things, HTML and Bootstrap. That will be the end of today's class. I will drop two materials for you to go through. Then tomorrow we're now going to actively use Visual Studio Code. Sorry, Visual Studio Code. So this is the tool. This is how it looks like. We're going to now use Visual Studio Code, and we're now going to build. We're going to start with basics of HTML. What are HTML tags? What are HTML elements? What are HTML attributes? We'll go through that. We'll code it, see how it is on the front end. Once we're done with that, like in 40 minutes, the rest 40 minutes, 1 hour, we will now start up with WordPress. We're going to build a simple WordPress website. Then we will continue from the next day. I think maybe on the third day, we'll now start talking about how do we get a hosting account, how do we set up and move all the things we are building into it, how do we install WordPress there, how do we build an e-commerce website, implement something like Paystack or PayPal. Then how do we now secure that website and do basic penetration testing for that website? So that will be all for today. If you have a question, please ask, and I'll be answering in the next 5 minutes, and that will be all.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, some of us didn't join when the class started, so I don't know if we are going to get a video.
Sure, you'll get a recording for the entire class.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, so this is what
if you want to write a program, maybe the other coding as a beginner, what are the steps and what are you going to do, sir?
Come again, ask your question again.
As if you want to write a programming code for your program to design the website, all those coding as a beginner, what are the steps or how can you go in about it?
You want to write a program to do what?
Maybe to design a website.
You want to design a website, or you want to write a program that will help you design a
You
website?
want to write a program. You want to design, write a program.
I'm not getting you. You're not clear.
Sorry,
you want to build a website, or you want to design a software to help you build a website? Which of them?
To design a software to help you build it as a beginner.
As a beginner, then that is not beginner.
Yeah.
That is advanced. So you first learn how to build a website.
All right.
Then you now learn how to develop something to help somebody build a website. For instance, you see this crude application you see here. This is built using PHP and MySQL. It then means that this person can finish doing this project and not give it to someone that is a front-end designer. He can now log into the dashboard or whatever and not be doing the updates, the changes, the tweaks and whatever. But the core of the application is going to be done by the developer. So you don't, as a beginner, you don't do backend. You start from where? Front-end. That's why this class is majorly front-end and an introduction to back-end, right?
Yes, I got it.
Amidele, you can ask your question, please.
Thank you. When you were mentioning the fact that nobody can say he builds everything from the scratch.
Yes.
Nothing is actually built from the scratch, which is so far. That now digress my mind to trying to find.
Speak up, please.
Okay. When you mention that now, bring my mind to want to, find a meaning to terminology such as coding, programming, learning machine language.
Yeah.
On that website, I saw something like a column BTN or something like that.
Yeah, button.
Button.
Yeah.
Yes. Is this one actually about using all these pre-program, pre-organized codes and all that? Is that using them? Is it really the heart of coding? Because defining understanding those terminology and programming, you understand me.
So you see, when you say, let me just make it simple for you.
Machine language. I know machine language.
I will explain. Okay, everybody listen, please. When you say program, if you have a child, a 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 3 years old, 7-year-old, if they say program this child, they are telling you to teach this child to do what you intend the child to do, right? The crust of the being, the soul of that child is not yours, it's God. So you're only tweaking that stuff. It's not new. So when you say somebody is a programmer, somebody is a developer, it means the person is trying to create something, right? And doesn't mean that thing the person is creating is absolutely new, except you are inventing a new language. And no matter the language you try to invent, for instance, the principles of every programming language stay same. Whether you're doing PHP, you're doing Python, you're doing Perl, you're doing Java, they all have same principles. That's why it is called a language. If you say come in French, and if you say come in Espanol, or you say come in German, or you say come in Chinese, you're all still saying come. You're only saying come in different ways. That's why they're called different languages. Now, you see, all of these BTN primary button, that's why we call a framework something that is predefined. You just use it the way it is. If you're learning Yoruba language or Chinese, for instance, or Swahili, you don't invent the Swahili again. You just speak it the way it is, right? So you don't bug your brain about why is it BTN, whatever. It suffices for you to know that BTN is button, and it's primary. And anytime it's primary, it is what? Bluish. Anytime it's secondary, it is gray. You can go back to the CSS of this particular file that does this and change this color code to something else. It then means anytime you say BTN secondary, it's going to be that particular color you have programmed it to be. But the way it is here, it's already pre-programmed. Then when you talk about machine learning AI, my core background is mathematics, and I do a lot of machine learning, AI, data science, analytics, and the rest. So I don't want to bring that into our website design class because it's off scope, and I don't want to talk about it so that we can save time. Any other question?
Thank you.
Good evening, Victor.
Okay, right on, please.
Isaiah speaking.
Okay.
You've actually simplified the whole process. You've taught us like babies, and that is really nice. And I'm enjoying the whole section. And I think my only challenge is the time management. But apart from that, everything has been going on well. I just want to ask, it's not really a question. I just want to find out, is there a way I could reach you personally?
Personally? Send a WhatsApp chat.
Okay, you're on the chat as well?
Yes, I'm on the chat.
Okay, then thank you so much.
Okay, that will be all for today. I want us to always come in, like you said, for time management. Most of us, or let me say few of us, so that I don't generalize. The training is 6:30. We waited up to 6:50 for some students because some students were not available, and some students were trying to sign up and subscribe to the training at just the dying moment or the dying minute. So I always want to start the training by 6:30. By 5:30, I could do some heads up. If I need to give you anything before the training, I could drop it down, or during the day, I could drop it in the WhatsApp group. But by 6:30, I want to start the training, and by 7:38, I want to be done with the training. So I always want the training, the Zoom call, to be as short as 1 hour 30 minutes. I could now infuse another 30 minutes for the feedback questions, the back and forth. And I will leave the room open. If you need to ask questions, feel free to interrupt me. I want it that way so that I'm not just, it's not a monologue, but rather a dialogue. So I will stop the recording now. I will drop the recording for those of us that joined late. And don't forget, you have 2 assignments. I will drop it on the WhatsApp group so that you do that before tomorrow's training. And I'll give you 2 videos for you to watch. You don't need to try it out. Just watch it like you watch your normal Chinese movie or CIA or CIS movies. Just watch them, enjoy them. If you can watch it 2-3 times, fine. So that when we now start doing the actual work tomorrow and start coding stuff, at least you've seen it like 1 or 2 times. It will help your assimilation. Okay, that'll be all for today's class. I'll tell everybody bye-bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.